Is it Savage X Fenty or by Fenty? I read the X as like by, like Savage by Fenty. I don't know. But I'm going to be talking about both Victoria's Secret and Fenty and sort of looking into their histories and how they rose and declined in Victoria's Secret's case. Hello and welcome back to the Miscellaneous channel where we do miscellaneous things. I'm Zeleny. I generally cover pop culture, internet trends, and other miscellaneous things on this channel, so subscribe if that's your vibe. So the Savage by Fenty The Savage by Fenty show Volume 3 premiered on Amazon Prime in September of 2021, and this was my first time watching a Savage by Fenty show, and I just wanted to discuss some things about it and how I'm seeing it disrupt the lingerie industry the past few years and has really taken over the throne that Victoria's Secret once held. I think there's so much innovation that Rihanna is putting into the Savage by Fenty show and the Fenty lingerie line. It's just interesting to see how Victoria's Secret had such a steep decline, and that created this need for exactly what Rihanna was delivering to us. Let's get into it. I'm going to be talking about Victoria's Secret and Savage by Fenty. I want to start with Victoria's Secret and the history of the brand. Most importantly, the show. I'm not going to go that much into like the Victoria's Secret brand. I think a lot of people are familiar with the Victoria's Secret brand. It's in every mall. But the Victoria's Secret fashion show was a big deal ever since it debuted in the 90s. And I would say it reached its peak in the 2000s and started to decline like after 2014. The steep decline happened post 2016 with the Trump era and the types of social change that brought about in culture and pop culture. But taking it back to 1995, the Victoria's Secret fashion show was a big televised event where Victoria's Secret would unveil their new line for the year. It was a pretty traditional runway show, but it did incorporate music and musicians performing live while the models walked the runway. Another big sort of iconic piece that came out of the Victoria's Secret fashion show is the use of wings on top of the lingerie, and that's what led to the models that were featured in this show to be called the Victoria's Secret Angels. It was always a who's who of like the top fashion models. Like back in the day, it was Tyra Banks and Heidi Klum, Gisele Bündchen, Adriana Lima. All of these women were famous for being sort of leads in the Victoria's Secret fashion show and leading Victoria's Secret Angels. The last Victoria's Secret fashion show happened in 2018. So now on to the rise of Savage by Fenty. According to Wikipedia, Savage is a joint venture between Rihanna and Textile Fashion Group. This Textile Fashion Group is responsible for several like subscription boxes like Just Fab and Fabletics. They sort of specialize in subscription business models. The brand launched in May of 2018. Rihanna didn't need to do much promotion for it. She gained a lot of followers right away. Rihanna had actually released Fenty Beauty the year prior, and she had incredible success. She disrupted the beauty industry and the makeup industry. So she had already legitimized her status as a great business person and a inclusive and seemingly authentic and compassionate CEO. The debut collection of Savage sold out within a month, and apparently it's valued at over $1 billion as of 2021. The Savage by Fenty show started as a New York Fashion Week type of event. I think the first one wasn't documented or shown on streaming. It was just a live event. But in 2019, Rihanna produced a sort of documentary about the making of the show, and that documentary included the actual show in it. So it's honestly only less than 20 minutes of documentary in volume 1 of the Savage by Fenty show, and the rest of it is the show itself. It's very innovative, very creative. It brings in a lot of hip-hop, rap, and pop artists together, has a lot of intricate choreography. It has interesting cinematography and lighting. It's just quite a production that is unlike anything that is out there on streaming. It seemed to sort of walk in the path that Victoria's Secret fashion show made, but it really innovated on that concept. Like, it's not just a runway, it is a stage. It includes so many like abstract shapes. It's very, very performance art heavy, which is not something we see in mainstream media very often. So I'll come right back to the Savage by Fenty show, but I want to jump back to Victoria's Secret and the decline of Victoria's Secret that happened around the same time that Savage by Fenty's show was starting out. In 2019, the Victoria's Secret brand announced that they would no longer be producing the Victoria's Secret fashion show. This was for a few reasons, but mainly it was because the owner and like the CEO, I guess, of Victoria's Secret essentially got canceled by the public. In the wake of the Me Too movement, he was being scrutinized for objectifying women and mainly just a lack of diversity in all ways. Like, there was very little racial diversity, let alone size diversity, no gender diversity, like no kind of diversity. The Victoria's Secret show was simply not evolving with the times and not having that conversation of increasing diversity and inclusivity that the culture was demanding. The main organizer of the Victoria's Secret fashion show is named Edward Razek. Oh my god, almost sounds like racist. He made some really problematic comments to Vogue in an interview that talked about not including trans women in the Victoria's Secret fashion show very much on purpose. This went pretty viral and led to a lot of responses from trans women influencers, and just like it opened up this conversation of like, let's not support Victoria's Secret anymore. Like, this is really, really shitty. Just the audacity of him to say this stuff in like the current climate was just straight up stupid and led to a huge decline in the Victoria's Secret brand identity, I feel like. I mean, I'm not sure that like sales have been super impacted. I feel like Victoria's Secret has now become one of those brands that like normies or like people that aren't online, like, you know, my mom and, you know, people like that don't keep up with sort of social justice or social change issues online. I mean, it's in every mall in America, so like it's easy to shop there without knowing like anything about it. But it's really like a shady business to support, or it just like it really got canceled, in my opinion. Edward Razek stepped down after the backlash to those comments. And also, like, the CEO of, like, the parent company of Victoria's Secret is named Les Wexner. He had, like, close association with Jeffrey Epstein. So it's just, like, gross all around with the leaders in Victoria's Secret, and it shows in sort of the comments they've made about like pushing back against diversity throughout the years. I was trying to watch the 2018 show to see sort of like what the vibe was of it, and it was interesting how they were trying really hard to showcase like feminism, but it was such like performative white feminism. They opened the show with the song This Is Me. It's that one song from The Greatest Showman that's like, it's not This Is Real, This Is Me, that's Camp Rock. It's This Is Me. You know, it's that song.
That's the song.
It showed sort of the models like doing like little interviews saying like, we gotta push back and wear lingerie just for ourselves and be sexy just for ourselves.
We should push the boundary. Defend who you are as a person. Be sexy for ourselves and for who we want to be, not because a man says you have to be.
It was like all these like empty words of like saying like diversity and women empowerment and all of that, and it's like a very clear overtones, like they're trying to really emphasize like feminism and empowerment, but like you look at the models and they are so Eurocentric, white, thin, extremely tall, like they all look the same. I was actually watching both at the same time. I was watching the Victoria's Secret fashion show on my phone and watching one of the Fenty shows on the TV, and I would look up and look down, and it's just like insane how like the diversity on the Fenty show was compared. Like every time I would look down at the Victoria's Secret one, it was like a very thin, like usually white, tall woman walking a runway. And the Fenty show was just like all kinds of colors and people, and also like artistic things happening, like choreography versus singing versus walking and strutting, and voguing, like a lot of different things. I'm getting ahead of myself. Let me go into the rise of the Savage by Fenty show. All of these things I've mentioned is like why this show is so successful. It really puts inclusivity above all else, and it doesn't feel like it's in a performative way. Rihanna especially is very committed to inclusivity, and just that is the number one priority, and it shows with all of the different types of people you see on screen. I watched all three. There's 3 volumes of it. There's a 2019 show, the 2020 show, and now the 2021 show. The 2019 and 2020 shows show a lot of like behind the scenes and documentary type elements of like the production and hearing from Rihanna herself, because in the actual show you don't hear anything. It's just like, well, you hear music, but you don't learn much about, like, it's not like a speech or there's a lot of dialogue. It's just like, it's performance art and choreography. But Rihanna mentioned a lot how she's like, she seems kind of annoyed by like everyone telling her like, oh, you're making history and we're gonna make history with this and this is revolutionary. And you can tell she's like, no, this isn't. This is just like good. Or just like, this is just like normal. The kinds of people wearing lingerie or wearing a product or consuming a product are going to be all kinds of different people, not just like stick thin, very tall models. To her, like, it really feels like a natural thing and like not something she's trying hard to do. It's just who she is, that she wants to design products for everybody and that like the regular person can use. The Savage shows aren't just like models that are there, models and singers. It really includes a diverse range of celebrities and influencers too that are very like culturally aware and like interesting, and people that are like hot right now type of celebrities and influencers. Not only is it like diverse and showing different races and skin colors, it's very diverse in showing like different gender identities, size, like actual plus size models. In the fashion industry, it feels like a lot of times they call plus size models that are still very like of a certain body type, have no, you know, cellulite, or have a very specific body shape that fashion likes, and just call her plus size and call themselves diverse. But there is truly a huge range of sizes shown and body types shown in the Savage by Fenty shows. And the other 2 types of ways that it showcases diversity and is inclusive, it shows people with disabilities and it shows people of older ages. Like, I feel like a lot of times when we think, oh, this is a diverse piece of media, we think in terms of race or gender even, or having like a plus size person here or there, but this really like goes way above and beyond what is like the norm, and showing just like older women to me is like, wow, like we never see older women in fashion, we never see people with disabilities in fashion. And the gag of it all is that everyone looks extremely hot, extremely sexy. Like, it's not this weird thing where like they look ugly. Like, it's like everyone looks amazing, and it just feels so natural that like everyone is expressing sexuality because everyone in the world does that. It makes a lot of sense. And in the behind the scenes, they talked about how they really view this as a performance art piece, which is very clear. It's very like interpretive dance, very like kind of ominous music sometimes, and sometimes it's like a performer, and the choreography is so intricate and like empowering and like punchy. One of the staff members called it a fashion musical, and I think that's very much what it was. It was very like mesmerizing and interesting, and like there's just so much to look at. I just felt great, like feeling like reflected in it. Like, if I were considering shopping for this lingerie, I would know what it looks like on my body, or have an idea that like there are sizes for me, or just kind of compare myself to the people that looked like me or had a similar size as me on the show. There were just so many people showcased that, like, it's hard to find someone that doesn't look like you. Not that it's like has everybody possible, but compared to most pieces of media, like, this has someone for everybody, it feels like. So in case you're interested in watching the Savage shows, volume 1 contains like the documentary at the very beginning, and then the show, which is like a live show with an audience, like RIP 2019 when it was possible to have a huge live audience. But it's still this big like production with a lot of cinematography and cool lighting and cool staging. It's still very dynamic, even though it's like a live event. And then volume 2 is the 2020 show, and that one is not in front of a live audience. Of course, it was filmed during the pandemic. That one shows some sort of behind the scenes, but not as much as volume 1. The volume 2 shows, it's more like interview style segments between things that focus on a theme. So like one of the segments is focusing on gender expression, and it sort of showcases the drag race queens using drag and like the meaning of drag kind of stuff. So it's a little more like of a curated segments between the show. They also kind of discuss the impact and the vision for it, which is great to hear from Rihanna about. She mentioned in volume 2 that she designs for like the people in her life. Like she designs products that are tailored to like the regular real people in her life, like her mom and her family and her friends that are normal people, not like size 0 models, you know? So volume 3 actually had no behind the scenes content, which I was surprised when I looked at the other volumes, because I watched them out of order. I watched volume 3 first, then I went back to 1 and 2. I was surprised that there was no, like, I was surprised there was behind the scenes in the other ones, and that made me wish volume 3 had some behind the scenes, because I would love to hear from Rihanna now, just see some other sort of like commentary within the show, because it does help and is nice to break it up. I think volume 2's format was my favorite, where they broke it up into like themed little segments. And it's interesting because the Victoria's Secret fashion show that I was watching from 2018 also had like little segments interspersed between the runway show, and the focus of them were so shallow in comparison. Like I was saying, one was about female empowerment and like accepting your body by all these supermodels that like you don't want to hear that from necessarily. Not that they don't have body insecurities, but like we don't want to hear from Gigi Hadid that, you know, she feels insecure and you shouldn't feel insecure. You know, like we don't need to see that.
I don't want to see that.
But in the Victoria's Secret show, one of the segments, like breaking up the show, was about how all of the angels were exercising intensely in preparation for the show, and it just felt so like toxic, like how much they were emphasizing like they have to be in shape and they have to achieve all these goals at the gym in order to go to the show and look good for it. So it was just like the difference was so stark of like what was being highlighted, and it's like it can't be healthy for these models to be so like obsessed with their exercise regimen and like looking perfect for this Victoria's Secret fashion show. Compared to like the people on the Savage show, the emphasis was so much more on like confidence and inner strength, and like you can tell by like how it comes off. Like you see Lizzo twerking on the floor with like this amazing bodysuit on, and it just like it looks so amazing and empowering, and she's just so cool and confident. She looks hot, you know. And it's just like in the Victoria's Secret one, you just see these models like stressing over their exercise, and it's like that's not what sexy means. It's not an inclusive view of sexiness and confidence, and it just does not inspire anything from me at all, like any kind of emotion, aside from feeling sorry for the models. So is the Savage by Fenty show the future of fashion consumerism? I was sort of thinking a lot about this watching it, because I found it so interesting. It was unlike anything I'd seen before. I wasn't a big fan of the Victoria's Secret fashion show, so I didn't have that as a reference even when I was first watching it. But it's really so innovative, and Rihanna, like, specifically is trying to push boundaries with this type of production. It's not like any mainstream thing we've seen. And I just think about what kind of impact this will have on this type of content. Aside from like the impact of, you know, breaking boundaries and like representation, just beyond that, I'm thinking about this type of media, like a weird fashion musical performance. Like, it's just such an amalgamation of art forms that it's so different than anything else I've been seeing. But the interesting thing to me about it is that, like, this is all like an advertisement for the lingerie. That's the core of what this is. This is advertising the products. And it's doing a damn good job because everyone looks great and the production is just high quality. I would have expected when I was younger, like in the future, at this point, we would be able to be watching a show and like there would be like links at the bottom to purchase like the outfit Camila Cabello is wearing in Cinderella or whatever. I would think more streaming services would have incorporated that concept already, but it's still not like a thing in like mainstream or traditional media. And I just wonder if like, are we headed down that path where we can have AI that is smart enough to recognize what garment is on screen and be able to link us to it? I would think capitalism would like have figured that one out already, because it's kind of like product placement but like in a more interactive way, if that makes sense, which it probably sounds creepy to a lot of people, but it's something I wouldn't necessarily mind, because there are times I'm watching something and I'm like, ooh, I like that top. I'm like, I wish I could just click my phone and be like, what top is that? I just think that's a kind of a genius idea, not necessarily moral or ethical, but I'm surprised they haven't done that for the sake of profits yet.
Why don't you let me fix you some of this new mococo drink? All natural cocoa beans from the upper slopes of Mountain Nicaragua, no artificial sweeteners.
If you are like me and like to purchase things you see out in media and stuff, there is a subreddit that is really great called Find Fashion, and you can post there like a photo of whatever you saw, and people are really good at finding it, so, or finding like dupes of it too. So just a hot tip if you happen to be like me and want to purchase something you see on TV. Maybe there's like laws against it. Like we have something like QVC where it's like TV that is showing you things to buy.
I fell on my booty.
I guess we see it kind of also like on talk shows, like on Wendy Williams and stuff. They'll have segments of like bringing in products and they're advertising them. So I'm kind of not sure like what is the hold up there. But anyway, I just find the Savage by Fenty show to be this kind of groundbreaking type of thing that's kind of close to that concept. It's not quite like I can click the links to get it, but since it's all one brand, I can just go to their website and find all of the things. They even have a tab on their website that says looks from the show. It's all very easy to access, and it's quite an effective advertising technique. So we don't see that often in TV, but we do see it a lot online and on social media. Influencers are the types of people that's where we can see probably a picture of an influencer and find the link to every product they're wearing in the description or in the caption or whatever. So I feel like all of that is happening on social media already. It's just kind of odd to me that traditional media hasn't like pushed for that quite as much, but maybe it's for the best. I don't know. I don't always want the best things for myself, I guess. So I don't know. I wonder if this kind of like brand partnership that's more integrated and interactive is coming at some point, or if there's something like blocking that. But I think Savage by Fenty is like an important trailblazer for that. Whether you like it or not, it'd be smart for other fashion brands to invest in like a production like this in order to advertise their products. I think I'm surprised more fashion brands, again, haven't tried a show like this, but Rihanna is really innovative, and I'm just really in awe of like how creative and visionary she is. Like this show was really like touched by her. Like she creates it. She is the producer, creator. She is overseeing all the casting, all of the choreography. She is showing up in the show at certain parts. So I'm just like really amazed by what she's been able to do and how creative she really is. So that's all I have about the Savage by Fenty Volume 3 show. Please let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Did you watch it? Are you planning to watch it? I would love to hear about it. Please like this video and subscribe to my channel if you enjoyed. I put out new videos twice a week about pop culture, internet trends, and other miscellaneous things. And you can follow me at Miscellaneous on Instagram or Twitter to find out about new videos, or just turn on the bell notification here on YouTube. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one. Bye.